Test, test. How's everybody doing? Let's do a quick check here. I see my green bar moving, and looks like we're on Discord. What's up, my close friends that are on my social media? Who is? I wonder if this is Russian text that comes to the YouTube chat. Um, what's up, Hien? Is that how to pronounce your name? Hien? Is that cool? I keep playing Spy at support levels, and it just blows right through them. I wanted to actually talk about that. That was actually going to be a topic of discussion for today. There's clearly a lot of things to talk about. Let me get some more light in here real quick. There we go. Now I can see better. Okay. Whoa. What are you dabbing on, Javier? Man, I tell you something. This has been, I mean, every week I say it, this has been an interesting week. But this has definitely been an interesting week. Futures, I did okay today. Not so much, but at least I didn't trade without a stop loss. I was trying to play reversal today, and I'll talk about why I really want to see reversal today. I was really kind of trying to put on the market my own bias, but sometimes that's wrong. So yeah, futures good this week. A lot of volatility still in the market. A lot of good trading opportunities, and pretty much everything. But like everyone else, my tech heavy portfolio is. So I'm going to pop one of these Sprite Zero Gingers. So I'm literally going to cut into this. This is basically like an NFT of drinks. They don't make these anymore. This is actually a collectible. Each one of these is a little over $10 on eBay. And I'm gonna treat myself actually for this live stream for this. So yeah, I hope you all had a good week. I think a lot of people kind of filtered in there. If you have symbols to look at and stuff like that, and I think a lot of people watch this regularly, so you know the drill. If you guys got something to look at, or if you're just popping in, feel free to ask questions. I've got, of course, my topics I like to talk about that I hardly ever get to speak about all of them. But at the top of the list, apparently, uh, according to U.S. officials, Russia is going to invade Ukraine. That seems to be the narrative to tank the market. Every market, stock market, crypto, everything at the end of the day today. You guys can hear me just right? We're all good? We're all good? Trading View, you're good. YouTube, you're good. I assume because we're having a conversation and I can tell on Discord. Okay. Well, let's talk about what happened this week, actually. So, this is what came to mind. This isn't really going to help much, but in a bull market, hold on. Pretty much in a bull market, any bad news will be discounted by the market. And so when you have a bull market, and if you've been trading for a while, you'll know that if earnings are bad, that stock will go up. If there's a news of some military incursion or saber rattling like North Korean nukes, the stock market will go up. That's not what's going on right now. And I have to really kind of acknowledge that and make a point of it, because this week, if you were down in the trenches, like we are every day on futures on Discord, um, you will remember. Let's just bring up the ES and let me clean up all my lines I'll redo next week. Something happened here. You had the CPI news came out on the 10th, which was yesterday, and it was very interesting because the CPI came out. Let's bring this up right here. This is really cool right here. This is a Forex Factory calendar. I've used this for over a decade. It has all like the major news events. And so the forecast for the CPI was 0.4%. Now, what CPI is the Consumer Price Index. It is well, they change the numbers every once in a while, but it's basically the cost of things that people buy. really heavily weighted in there are things like washing machines, and they do not look at gas prices, which kind of makes you wonder, well, is that really indicative of inflation? Don't worry about it. Fed says it's not. And the previous was 0.5%. And so the expectation for this one coming out was going to be that CPI would be lower, inflation would be lower, which, would mean that the Fed's interest rate crusade to go up may or may not be increasing. Well, the actual CPI was higher than expected. And so there at 8:30 in the morning, boom, market sold off. I managed to get a long in here and was able to capture most of this rally up to the top. And then I didn't really want to hold it longer than that. And then market goes on and goes on, goes. And then right here, I was sitting here watching the 1 minute chart. And at 12:45 on the dot, let me see if I can bring it up. I noticed this big, huge spike down. Now, the reason I was watching this is because sometimes if I don't really feel super confident in a trade, or if I am going to leave for the afternoon, I'll just kind of hypothetically trade it. So a long here off of the 50% of that rally is a really good trade. A really good trade here to go long on the futures that I would normally like, but it was right here at the end of the morning, 11:30. It was a nice quick reversal, but you never quite got back up to the top here. And then at 12:45, one of the Fed governors came on and said, Fed governor interest rate. He said something about raising it 100 basis points, which is to 1%. Yeah. Bullard. Okay. So this Governor Bullard said, I think it should be basically instead of raising it 0.25% like they're planning to do in March, he thinks that they should raise it up a full percent by July 1st, which is hawkish, which means he wants to raise rates. He sees inflation at right now, what we see is 7.5% as too high. And so you have this one governor, and he gets to vote on if interest rates raise or not. Him publicly coming out and saying, I think we need to raise interest rates higher. That was enough to drop the market. And so we had bad news coming out then, and that was enough to kick off this bearish trend, which was already kind of coming off the CPI. Let's go back. In a bull market, it discounts all bad news. The market is weak enough, the sentiment is weak enough right now that someone saying some stuff can tank the market in the span of a few minutes. And you see that in price. I remember when this happened, I thought, what's the news? Something happened to have it in kind of the zombie period for the market to go down like such. And so that is kind of an indication that the market is really absorbing bad news into how it wants to price things. And now we jump to today, where we already kind of had a very mixed, crazy morning, a slow grind down. And then right here, U.S. officials say that Russia is planning an incursion into Ukraine this weekend. And so naturally, nobody wants to have stocks going into the weekend. And that's what you have here. Again, market is taking bad news and really using it to pump the price down. And that's why we are here today. So what does that tell us about the market? I think everyone wants to know that. Everybody's been saying that we're going to go through the crash, blah, blah, blah. Well, in my analysis, in my estimation, we really, 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 really needed to get back above the 50% retracement of the high to the low, from the all-time high from January the 4th down to we'll call it the capitulation low of January the 24th. And we got above it a week ago, not this week, but last week. The NASDAQ, on the other hand, let me clean up all my gobbledy lines for day trading. the NASDAQ touched its 50% retracement, held it. The Dow broke above it. And the Russell, well, it's kind of the sigma of it, but got up and held it yesterday. But if we zoom out to the weekly, and I study and analyze everything based on closings of the bars. Last week, we closed to hold that level, 45.10 on the ES or 450 on the SPY. And then today, this week, we tried to get above it. We failed. It's not good. VIX. The VIX I had to look at really quickly intraday here because back on Monday, or was it January 31st, which was Monday a week ago, we got to close below the all important level. Okay, so let's start over. So from the low to here, VIX was holding above the level here that we could potentially see more volatility, more downside. The VIX and the market are inversely related. You can use the VIX oftentimes to determine the sentiment, timing, as it were, with the market. Because the VIX goes up, it reaches a point of maximum fear, and that tends to be a market bottom. And you can also look and see where the VIX closes on a day-to-day or week-by-week basis to give you a little gauge of where it's going to go. I got videos about it. I've got ideas about it. I'll take a look. Do a search for VIX with whatever platform you're looking on, and I've gone through this a couple times. Today, on this news, up it went. And it's interesting to me that we actually managed to close to hold this level. And also in the move that we had from here to here, we pegged the move there as well. So VIX got elevated, but it's still kind of in one of these, I don't want to really make a judgment call yet, because you start drawing enough lines, it'll say whatever you want it to. So I got to go into this weekend neutral. I do. Neutral to actually a little bearish based on the ES weekly close. And I'll talk more about this weekend when I do my weekly levels. So yeah, but as far as the market being a bull market, I think we're categorically not, because all it takes is just some people saying some stuff. I mean, Russia isn't actually invading Ukraine yet. They are just being said by US officials that they're going to. And that's enough to scare people. And so if it was a raging bull market, the market wouldn't care. It would just keep going up. And that really kind of fits into my thing I've been saying for a long time about how this year reminds me of 2018. In 2018, just to recap, I know I talk about it a lot because it was very formative in my trading. You had a big, huge January rally followed by a January crash. And the market recovered, but it was very, very rough and choppy all year long. This is the daily chart of the S&P. Finally, not until August, September, you actually made a new all-time high following all that mess. And then you had a really bad crash at the end of the year. So I say really bad crash, but really and truly, that's 20%. That's significant. Nobody really wants that. But it didn't happen right away. So the more that this year 2022 gets going, the more and more I'm confident that we're going to see something like 2018 repeat. We're not going to see the same numbers, we're not going to see the exact same patterns, but what it tells me is that the rampant super bullish optimism that we had coming off the COVID low and all through 2021, which was just an up and to the right kind of market, that's not going to be this year. This is going to be a very tough year to get in a long trade, get long the market. And now let me talk about, hey, what's up, Stone Pilot? Yeah, and I'll look at Airbnb in a second once I finish pontificating. And I want to talk about your point, Hen. So we talk about this on Discord when we're trading all the time. If you go back to, let's see, how can we kind of look at this? Okay, look at the 1 hour is fine. On the S&P as it is, you'd have to be a really bold Superman to buy this low on the dip because everyone was scared back on the 24th. It doesn't matter if it was stocks, it doesn't matter if it was crypto. The 24th was a mass capitulation of fear. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And maybe you can be a super great contrarian and you can actually, jump in against everybody else, but a lot of times you're going to be just catching that falling knife. Well, you wait a little bit and maybe you try to get long here, you try to get long here, you try to get long here. But the joke that we say in our Discord is that the lizard people, market makers, whales, hedge funds, institutions, whatever you want to call it, they make it very hard to get long. Very, very hard. And it's you can even see it here. Like, let's say you bought the S&P on the beginning of this rally on the 31st. Which was a very good long. You're breaking the top of this range. You get this nice little pullback right here, and you go long. Well, today you're right back at break even a week later. It's very, very, very difficult to get long the market. Very difficult. So that's hard. Man, look what we hit. Look where we hit today, right at the open. Bing. Yeah. It's the same levels, the level that we had to hold on the ES futures. It really kind of matches up. If you look, you come up to here, you break above it. Let's say that you take the breakout. Well, you're in trouble now. It's very, very difficult to get this rally right. And that's why I've been very, very active on the lower time frames of futures, is because these movements, these intraday movements, um, this right here this is the CPI print, was 68 downs and then 68 back up. And then today's move down from just the chop was about 100 points. 100-point moves are not the norm. This market will eventually go away and it'll get a lot slower. And that's what I'm seeing going into the year, because people are getting frustrated, like you, Ian, and they're just not going to take on the same amount of risk because they've been burned all last month and this month. And when you take that hit on risk, you are less likely to want to take more. You don't get the parabolics that you saw in 2021 where everyone was rushing in. And man, what a story that has been. Oof. All right, let's look at some questions real quick. If you guys got questions, I see a lot of people have kind of filtered in now. Put them in the chat. We'll look at them. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, I'm sure. Let's see. Hold on. Okay. Airbnb. I think that's probably, I don't know exactly what I'm going to see, but I bet it's going to be like a lot of tech. I actually got this annotated up a little bit. Okay, so the reason I've got this annotated up, I bet, is because I've used this to talk about IPOs. So, man, where did I think what I probably looked at this one in the past was where you want to try to play IPOs. I'm not a big IPO player for this very reason. How many of these IPOs from last year are just giving people a lot of grief? So, what do I think about Airbnb? I think it's good to have an Airbnb. I think you'll make a good bit of money if you manage an Airbnb property. I really have to say, when people are buying stuff like, all right, let me stay on this before I start talking about something else. If I'm looking at this downtrend from November, what you really want this thing to do is you want it to get you a close above, let's call it 175. You really want it to get up here for it to trend up. But this, it's just, I don't see any real trend in here. And as far as this week goes, you basically got up to a level, and so far, it got rejected. I try to give my opinion about things that I see, but if I don't see a setup, I tend to not really go into it. Oh, it looks like we got earnings coming up. Earnings are the 15th of February. Looks like aftermarket. So that is going to be Tuesday, next Tuesday. Earnings are a crapshoot, man. I mean, you need to make sure that you're in a good bit of profit going into earnings. I do not like playing things before earnings because where's my coin? I'm not going to take this out. I got my silver that I own right here, my silver dollar. But earnings are a coin flip, 50-50. I mean, look at the earnings we've had with Facebook and Amazon, Tesla. Tesla had good earnings and it tanked. Um, Facebook had bad earnings and it lost hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap. Same thing with Netflix. I just don't see any edge in trying to play guesses on earnings. So I don't know. I don't know about Airbnb. It could go either way. All right. What was my strategy back in 2018? My strategy back in 2018, I was more into trading options. And by options, you got to remember this is 2018. This is in the before times, BC, before Corona. And we didn't we boomers, we trading boomers did not trade weekly expiration options. So when I say I traded options, I mean I traded real options, the monthly options and many months out. I had the benefit of being educated by the Tastyworks people, which, by the way, if you really want a good options trading education, you really want to check out the channel of Tasty Trade. Excuse me, Tastyworks is their platform, and Tasty Trade is their inter. Well, it is entertainment, but it's also educational. And so, go to some of these playlists in here where they talk about options trading concepts. People spend a lot of money on classes. People spend a lot of money on discords for no reason. All you got to do is go through here. The best thing to do is Tasty Trade Mike's whiteboard, and this was put out um, several years ago now, but it goes into everything. 2016, everything you need to know about options and all the different option strategies, how options work, et cetera, et cetera. You don't need to pay anybody. You just watch this playlist, and it'll tell you all you need to know about options. It's fantastic, but nobody watches it. What like? Oh, well, this has got a good number of views on it. I remember most of their stuff used to have. It looks like people have actually caught up with this and started watching this. But back in last few years, these would have maybe like 1,000, 2,000 views. It's it's all you need to know. It's not about the hype, but more people would like to watch videos about Neo last year, I suppose. But anyway, rant off. I got really into learning about options from them, but they're option sellers. And one of the things that they really researched and produced their research about was how their time to sell options, make money on they were basically Theta Gang before it was called Theta Gang. And they figured out that the optimum time to sell options was about 45 days to expiration, which meant if I was an options buyer, I want to take options at least like 60 days out. And so what happened was in 2018, I came into the year very hot and heavy and got really, really burned on this move down, just like everybody did this year. And I spent the rest of the year playing various post option strategies. I like post earnings, post earnings, because after earnings, IV on options drops. You can usually find a pullback to the, hold on, let's see if I can find it. This is one that just comes to mind. Take-Two Interactive is a video game company. Let's see, it would have been in the middle of 2018. I'm looking at the daily. Here we go. This was a great one right here. So Take-Two Interactive had a earnings that was good. And you could have jumped in earnings before it because you liked the video game company, or all you had to do was wait for 2 days after earnings and it pulled back to halfway, and then that was the setup. I remember this in particular, and this was in August. And so through 2018, with a negative account, I just watched in this boring market for individual stocks to give setups like this, where you don't have a bull market. You don't have a raging bull market with its horns out. You have a market that is bullish, but it's not just giving you trends everywhere. You have to find the trends. And so the trends you'll find is in individual stocks with their earnings and the moves that they make on it. And so this was one of the ones I remember very clearly because it was a gap up and then it pulled back, filled the halfway 50%, which I traded all the time for years and years. And I was able to catch it. And by now, 3 days later, options got cheaper. And so you're able to play that up for a good, quick 30-day move, right? And so that was a really good options play there. Just one I just remember off the top of my head. There were others, but I'd have to go back through my notes and find them. So my strategy was trade. Like, I'm down, my portfolio is down, my account is down. Let me just find the best setups, trades that are really worth taking, things that fit my strategy, they fit my analysis. If I was buying options, so they had to be low IV. And you just have to get really, really tight with your rules. That's what everyone needs to do now going into this year. You can't expect the market to forgive your mistakes as easily as it has in the last 2 years. It's not going to. It is going to punish everything that paid off. Not having stops, not getting out of losers, taking options trades with high IV. The market is not going to forgive you. It's not going to give you a nice, natural, bullish run. It's not. So there is a lot of money to be made, but you got to really get tight with your rules. And so that was the strategy going into 2018. And then I finally, and today's actually, this wasn't the story time I was going to have today, but I've got a really cool story time based on news coming up. Bitfinex, big news this week. We're going to talk about that. So hang on for that. So yeah, August was about right here when we started kind of recovering. And then we had this instance right here where October hit. I didn't really have much on, but as the market recovered, this is the S&P, this is the SPY. Okay, the SPY is the aggregate, it's the index of all the things, all the stocks. When the SPY, as the market as a whole, pulled back to here, you had a major upward pullback from things going bearish. There were a lot of stocks that set up short. I'm gonna find these for you. I'm trying to think of one that I had. I want to think it was something that began with a W, but I'll find it for you. But this was the time to take puts, and from about here to here, October to November, this was a great time. Like these few weeks right here of volatility and a lot of market uncertainty, if you bought puts anywhere, you made money. It was fantastic. And this is why I tell people that insist on trying to buy SPY puts at every little dip on the SPY when it's going. Don't stop it. There will be a time to take SPY puts, okay, or any puts, individual stocks, weak stocks, buy puts when it happens. And so you get into a market condition like this, which we may be getting into, or later this year. You want to look for weak stocks, and then if you buy puts, you'll be in good shape. You'll be in really good shape because you get the delta move of the stock going down and you get implied volatility rising. Yay. It's a great time to trade. Really it is. I don't fear a bear market. I fear a boring consolidating market. I don't fear a bear market. Bear market, it's going to suck for your retirement accounts, but you can make that up with your trading accounts because there's just so much opportunity. So October got me back above break even in 2018. It took all those months. And then I had December. I still had some puts on. I had Christmas. Yeah. Christmas had turned right around. And so this was Santa Claus right here for put buyers and people that were short. And I think the real takeaway for this is, and this is why I keep telling people that, insist on trying to get short now, you'll have opportunity to really set up short if it actually happens. So patience is the order of the day. The market doesn't turn around on a dime. You got a lot of people in denial. Maybe I'm in denial. Maybe me being bullish, saying that we only go through a 10% pullback every 2 years, and this was it. Maybe I'm a little bit, but you know what? I'm a big fan of something somebody said today. Often wrong, never in doubt. I like that. Or strong opinions held weakly. So if things change, I'll tell you guys what I'm doing. But be patient. Through the chats and stuff. What do you think about Elliott wave theory? I think my brain is only this big, and I've got lots of just 50. I got room for the 50% retracement. I think Elliott wave theory is really good for making content and dazzling people, and it doesn't really help me trade. It doesn't really help me make money, but that's just my opinion. Some people may do it. I don't know. Gold. How about gold? Oh, yeah, you remember that video of the guy in the future? It was a Twilight Zone video. I showed it in another live stream. TLDR, in the future, this guy's walking through the desert and he says to this guy, "I have gold, give me water." And then he dies. And then the future guy in his flying car says, "What's up with that guy? He was offering me this metal for something." And then the girl that's with him says, "Oh, I think that they used to use gold for money back, that was 200 years ago." And the future guy says, "Wow, what a weird person." Lols. Gold's up on FUD. But I mean, yeah, every time gold or silver or something kind of goes up, I think people get really excited, but you really, really, really on gold need to get out of here. Ooh, my wedges. But really, if you're if you want to draw wedges and you want to, look for a break. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. If I'm a proper wedge trader, 1 second. See, my wedge was here and here. We broke the wedge. Basically though, here's the thing though. Like if we had done this right here, then this would have broke the wedge. But that's okay. We'll redraw it. We'll redraw it. Okay, there. Okay. All right. That wedge fits. That wedge works. We'll use that wedge because it fits my bullish bias. I don't like wedges because if we have a down move next week, people are just going to do this. But you really got to get out of here. Let's just call it this. Let's call it this is where gold needs to get out of. It needs to break 2,000. It needs to give you some kind of bullish movement. Otherwise, you're in a situation like you were in here in 2011 to 2013. Alternatively, if you want to see a bullish situation, gold likes to do this. And look at this. This is a weekly chart. Gold likes to get into these little situations of like this is the 90s. This is the late 90s. Gold likes to get into periods of consolidation and then breakout. And so it'd be great to be in on the breakout, yes. But the nature of these kind of things, breakouts, is that there's no way of saying, even down here, like, gold just kind of hung out. As Jesse Livermore said, every instrument has its own personality. The personality of gold is that it will go into multi-year periods of just absolute boredom, and then it won't. And so you really, hopefully, you're on the right side of it, but uh, it can go either way. And so I really think that if you're banking on it going up, okay. But here's my question to the gold bugs, and it has been: if inflation is what makes gold have value, in other words, if there's more dollars out there and there's only so much gold, if gold is real hard money and they're printing dollars like they're going out of style, shouldn't gold be going crazy? I mean, tell me. So we had from February 2021, we've had 7.5% inflation. That's what everyone's pretty much, I mean, whether you agree with that or not, that's what the number is. Okay, that's what the Fed says. They finally admit we have 7.5% inflation year over year. Gold is up 2%. Why is gold not responding? I mean, it's a question that I think, gold bugs and people who are bullish on gold need to ask them. Why is this trade not working? Why is this inflation hedge not working? It tells you something. It tells you something. It tells you that people aren't really buying that narrative. So that's gold. All right. Yep. Look for you on Falco. Gold. I know gold's up a lot, but really the story this week was oil. I've been saying in my weekly levels and on here, oil, it is going to 100. Hashtag this isn't financial advice, but it's going to 100. The reason it's going to 100 is because this, from when I started trading 10 years ago, it liked to just hang out. This is where it liked to chill. It liked to chill around 100. There's fundamental reasons for that. 100 is a nice profitable point for a lot of producers. So I already read something this week that there was some shale producers in the U.S. and some other producers have turned on. Maybe someone that follows that a little bit closer can link the article. What exactly is happening? I trade price, but I did happen to see that in the feed that these producers are seeing this price of oil. Now they can profitably run their business, so they're turning back on again. That's going to produce supply. And that's why oil is going to kind of hang out around $100 a barrel. It's a nice psychological number. And so as long as that's the case, I mean, the risk reward on oil up to 100 is, if you just jump in here, was probably not that good. But Ant and I were able to catch a dip here. We really wanted to just kind of try oil because, we trade futures every day. And so we were able to grab it on this morning's low on Tuesday morning. Again, when I'm trying to day trade things, I'm always looking for that false breakout. If we dig down here, we can see it where we had this little consolidation period right here, right in the morning of Tuesday. They faked everybody out on that breakout. And then we go up to here. Ping, and then up it goes. We're able to get in. Now, we played it with UCO, which is a leveraged Bloomberg ProShares Ultra. So it's a leveraged oil ETF. That was the vehicle we used because we didn't really want to do it with futures. And we're pretty happy with that. I wish we had, of course, in your winters, you always wish you had more. But man, look at the character of oil. Like if you were taking futures, they would have the lizard people would have really tried to stop you out right here. They made it very, very hard. Even on this consolidation break, they still tried to get everybody out. And then, of course, now we get Russia. So I'm pretty happy with the fact that we were long oil. But this goes back to you, Hen. They don't make it easy. They do not make it easy for you to get and stay long. They want to get your position. The whales, the Illuminati, whoever. It's just price, man. It's we acknowledged getting into trading oil that it was going to have a different personality, and it was very interesting to see the personality this week and how you really just had to get yourself a good position on one of these big swings and just hold it as best you could, and then you finally get the benefit of what we see here. It's also helped by the fact that this is going up. Let's circle back. Like gold. You want to buy gold? Okay. But it doesn't have much life. It has very little vigor. But oil, if you want to get long oil, you just put yourself in the position for Vladimir Putin to do some stuff or US officials to say some stuff that puts you in a good. This is a bull market because some news event came and it. But if you were in oil all week, it tested you. It tested your patience tremendously. It's just this is trading, guys. I mean, right here. This right here is trading. You get in, you hold it, you're like, ah, and then you get a little break right here, and you're like, yay, and then it goes like, nah, 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 nah. And then once everybody's tired of it, once everybody's not looking, this kind of fuels that whole sentiment that the things that I get out of go up and yes, that's like first, second year trading kind of thing that's going to happen to you. It gets better. Just keep at it. And you get patience. You got to have patience, and you have to be realistic about where things could go where you're wrong. I mean, as long as price on oil did not get back into trading in here, because this was the prior range it was in for the late part of January. As long as we didn't get in here, we can still say that it is holding the top. I mean, look how crazy this. We knew getting into this trade that this is what oil was going to do. Leptocurtic, as our favorite word. And yeah, it held the range and went. But in the intraday, if you were looking at this every day, every hour, it's going to piss you off. Do I like retest setup? Yeah, I mean, that's what basically this is. You broke the top of the range. Let me clean this up. You broke the top of the range. And let's actually zoom out a little bit. There we go. So on this is a retest setup. Again, another example of how it's hard to be long. You had a breakout on oil. That's why I don't like breakout trades. You come back, test that range, and then there you go. And so that was that is a retest setup. You broke the top of the range, you pull back, it bored you to death for 3 days, and then finally on some BS news, it goes up. All right. More questions, and I got to talk about story time. I want to talk about the Bitfinex hack because that was big news this week. Very interesting stuff. This year, gold is going to go up. I hope so for your sake, Josh. What happens when Fed actually raises rates? Is the market going to stabilize? We're going to have to find that out. That's going to be interesting because right now the market is forward looking into these rate hikes. It's pretty much a given that we're going to get one in March. So here's the trade. Here's the narrative. This is the bears narrative. This whole rise from the COVID low, this scary shitcoin chart, I mean the S&P on the monthly, is all propped up on borrowed money through stock buybacks, through leverage trading. That is what the entire economy, the entire market is based on. It's just a big sham. And as the Fed begins to raise interest rate, there's going to be less of this borrowed money to pump into the market. Therefore, the market will not only stop going up, but the market will tank. The narrative, what follows from that is that there is nothing underpinning the economy at all. That the economy is actually complete crap, and companies aren't making any real money, and people aren't buying any real goods, and nobody really has a job. I talk to a lot of people in business. I talk to a lot of people in my real life. And I look at, you look at various earnings, and yeah, tech stocks, which were really rampantly bullish, are getting hammered. But what was a big leader today? It's gone down now, but consumer staples, defensive, but companies that still make money is going up, or it has been in this cycle. People can't hire enough workers right now. Like unemployment is very, very low. That is not indicative of a massive recession. And we don't know all the reasons. We don't know all the factors of it. But and maybe it's just an anecdotal thing, but I live in Atlanta and I go to restaurants and they're packed. You know, ask anyone, like, I have to I said this on another thing. Like, when Amazon earnings came out, I wish they would tell, like, everyone was worried that Amazon earnings were going to be bad, and I said, well, I don't think that's going to change the fact that my girlfriend buys about 2 or 3 packages a day. Like, every day's Christmas. Like, there's a package at the door. Like, she doesn't even know what it is. People are spending. People are spending money. Nothing really bad is going on right now. Yeah, inflation, but there's still economic activity. So, what is going to happen when Fed raises interest rates? Well, they get a tool at their disposal to address market issues. Hold on, Ant. Oh no, I can't. Hold on. Were you trying to talk, Ant? Hold on. Hello, hello. May Ant say something? Oh, you know what? Hang on. Oh, I see what's going on. All right, Ant, you there? I think he left. When did he send me that?
I was before, but I really can't. Won't be able to chime in too much now.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I had my sound off on that.
That's all good.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Going back to what we said, we've already priced in. Yeah. So we've already priced in a interest rate increase. 3 this year is what the market's kind of expecting. So by the end of the year, we should have at least a 0.5%. We may have a third for 0.75%. And Fed governors are, of course, going to state their opinion that it should be higher. I don't think that. Let's go back to 2018. 2018 was a taper tantrum. If you go back, this was all when the Fed started trying to raise rates as well, and it was tanking the market. And so a lot of people were thinking that it's going to be a repeat. It kind of is. But I think they learned from that the market is going to be very, very sensitive to what they say, and they're going to be very, very cautious on what they say. The job of the Fed governor, what is it? What is Jerome Powell's title? The Fed chair is to speak endlessly and say nothing. So they're not going to give anything committal. So what's going to happen when interest rates go up? We actually have tools for them to solve a real recession. That's what's going to happen. I really think that we have to raise rates at some point. I mean, you can't. What do you do to hedge your portfolio? Like, you can't have bonds anymore. Like, there's no place to hide your money and be okay with no risk. Like, there's no risk places to put your money nowadays. I mean, I'm going to be a boomer pretty soon. I'm going to retire one of these days. I want to have like bonds that pay 5%. I'd like to have that when I get old and gray and can't move. We don't have that anymore. Chairman. Yep. All right. Story time. Bitcoin. By the way, can someone please tell me why? Please tell me why. That at the same time the stock market dropped down here, Bitcoin also dropped. Like why at the open? Yeah, why at the open today? Why do these look like the same instrument? Why does Bitcoin and the stock market, the S&P futures, why does it look like the same instrument? Can somebody tell me? Because if I talk to the Bitcoin experts on, social media, they tell me there's no correlation. Why do they do that? Why does it do that? Anyway, rhetorical. Bitcoin. Story time. This week, interesting stuff. This is a news story 6 years in the making, five and a half years in the making. They found the thieves of almost 120,000 Bitcoin. They finally caught them, and it's funny. The internet has been full of these memes of this girl in particular and some of her. Hey, Jen, find me one of her more funny videos real quick, if you can, please. If you got time, or post it in the chat or the just chatting. One of the ones where she's talking about being like a bad whatever. So this couple have been living the life, and they have been very sloppy about trying to launder their coins. And finally, oh yeah, she's a rapper. Yeah, so she basically this helped her launch her rapping career on TikTok and Instagram and whatnot. And so at the time when they stole this, it was worth about 72 million then, and now it's worth 3.6 billion. I mean, I was talking to a friend about this week. You only really hear about the stories of the dumb criminals. It kind of has a little bit of survivorship bias, or really the opposite, where they had to do something stupid to get caught. There have been a lot of Bitcoin hacks in the last 10 years, and this is the biggest, which means it got the most resources and attention. 2 weeks ago, I remember seeing an article that said that the Bitcoin, the vast majority of them suddenly moved. That was clearly the FBI getting access to them and yoink. So, yeah, there's smart people that work for the FBI and whatever else. I mean, they know about cryptocurrency. They know how to do it and how to track it. There was oh yes, I did. I'm going to post this real quick for those. I put it in the notes. Yes, there was a press release from the Justice Department. I'm going to post in the chat for people. Interesting stuff. It actually tells about the investigation. And they actually have some cool diagrams where they show like how it moved around, like how they tried to launder it and all some of the stupid things they did. I was looking in here out of curiosity for how they tried to use Monero, and yes, they did. They tried to use Monero, and I'm looking in this for weaknesses in the Monero chain. In other words, how were they able to track Monero? I do not see where they were able to track Monero in particular, but they, of course, went to these centralized exchanges, and they were able to see the accounts. And so if you have an exchange account, and you have Monero, well, then they know, that you had it. I don't think they were able to track the Monero, but they were definitely able to track the Bitcoin. So I'll let you guys read through this if you're interested. It's cool. It goes into the last 6 years of how they tried to move it around. So, but anyway, that is what came out this week. Oh yeah, let's watch this.
Never forget, weirdest is most original.
This song is for the entrepreneurs and hackers, all the misfits and smart slackers.
Russell Khan, the Versace better win. Come real far, but don't know where I'm heading. Motherfucking crocodile of Wall Street. Silver on my fingers and boots on my feet. Always be a goat, not a goddamn sheep. Email me, fuck your message at the beep. Beep, 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 beep. Spirit of a revolutionary, power of a dictator. Love to be contrary, but I'm sly like a gator. I got pilot blood, I'm a real risk taker. Pirate riding the flood, badass money maker. Grandmother crocodile.
Yeah, you really made that money as a pirate, didn't you?
Silver, so sexy when I slither. Sparkle on my little finger. Hell of a razzle, ear to ear. Poised to throw a zinger. Playing on their worst fear. Russell Khan, the Versace better win. Come real far.
Okay, that's enough of that. Anyway, that goes on for 3 minutes. So yeah, you're a real bad finance person, aren't you? Yeah. Talking about I mean, just it's funny. It's funny now in hindsight. So that was them. That was the Russian hacker and his wife, the rapper, and so they are now in custody. Yeah, NFT. Yeah, they're gonna make her thing into an NFT. Yeah. So I promised you all story time. All right, well, let's have a story time. So I knew about the Bitfinex hack because reasons. I was very aware of it at the time because I had a reason to be aware of it. And let's go back in time. So this is the news event from August the 4th. Now, let's go back in time. So to talk about the Bitfinex hack, we actually need to go back further in time. We need to go back to MF Global. Now, MF Global was a brokerage that declared bankruptcy in 2011. Now, I'm not sure, I think you could trade on there, but my mentor, the person that I learned to trade, had an account with MF Global. And he told me the story of this, and this was back in 2012, 13 when I started trading with him. How he lost money because he had his trading account at MF Global, and what happened was they stopped withdrawals of people's money, and that was it was of course not only unfortunate and inconvenient, but later it was for a reason. They didn't have any money to let people withdraw, but they kept that a secret until they announced bankruptcy, and then, well, they let people sue them for whatever's left. So I heard that story. And then now we go up to, see if we can do Mount Gox, which was the first major Bitcoin exchange. Oh, this doesn't go back far enough at all. Okay, I got to tell the story then. This is 2013. By the way, for those that don't know, Mount Gox doesn't refer to a mountain. Mount Gox was originally Magic the Gathering online exchange. Little factoid. You used to be able to buy and sell like an eBay of just Magic the Gathering. That was what the original creator made Mount Gox to be. I actually met him one time at a South by Southwest, and that's what he claimed. He claimed he made the original site. He sold it to that. And so it was, oh, you had to mute it? Oh, sorry. If it was too loud, let me know. I only do that every once in a while. And so Mt. Gox was not prepared for the volume of trading that they were taking on back in 2013. They didn't have the security parameters, and Mt. Gox got hacked. But Mt. Gox, they didn't say anything about the hack. They kept it to themselves. And so the first thing they did was they stopped US dollar withdrawals from Mt. Gox. And that was a warning sign. And when that happened, I said to my buddy that was big into it with me, I said, hey, my mentor told me about this story of MF Global. They stopped US dollar withdrawals, and then a few weeks later they went bankrupt. Like this is kind of sketchy. So cold storage, everything went, because you could still withdraw Bitcoin during that period. So I'm just going to tell the story because I don't have the timeline here. So anyway, about 2 weeks later, after they stopped US dollar withdrawals, and people that were on the ball enough to recognize that got their money out, their Bitcoin out, they announced Bitcoin withdrawals were stopped. And the reason was technical difficulties. Well, not too long after that, they stopped letting anybody do anything, and they announced that they'd been hacked and they were insolvent. And so they were then, forced to shut down and put into litigation, and the rest is history. And so now we come up to 2016 and the Bitfinex hack. And there's still on their blog. You can go back to the 26th of August. What happened was, I don't remember the exact timeline of it, but when they were hacked, they let people know right away, we've been hacked. And they stopped all transactions going in and out. And they said, we are going to let you know what we're going to do about it. We're going to be transparent, because they learned from the Mt. Gox hack, which crashed the market for Bitcoin. At the time, Bitfinex was the largest, if not, it was definitely the largest exchange when they got hacked. And so, of course, Bitcoin took a hit. The price of it did, and it shook the market. But they came out with a plan. Now, this is still the Wild Wild West. Crypto is still the Wild Wild West, but this was the real Wild Wild West. There were no third-party insurers. There's no FDIC. And when I've talked to some people about this, they don't know about what happened at Bitfinex. You're hearing about it now because they got the money back. But you don't hear about it because here was a situation where you had this disruptive financial technology, this centralized exchange with no governance, with no insurance, no insurance, no government agencies to regulate or back it, and it loses money of its customers. So what do you do? Well, nowadays, you like these stories of where the FDIC insures you to 100,000. These government programs. We need regulation, is what people say. They handled it. They handled it internally. They went to their customers and said, "Hey, look, this is what happened. Are you tracking the stolen coins? Yeah, we're looking at it, but here's what we're going to do." They created BFX tokens. Back up. First, they gave everyone a socialized haircut of 36%. In other words, if you had 100 Bitcoins, they cut your account to 36 less. So you now had 64 Bitcoins. But they gave you BFX tokens in the amount that they took down your account. These Bitfinex tokens would then be tradable on their platform for people that didn't believe them when they said, we're going to pay it back. They basically gave everyone IOU tokens. And they said, over the next few months, from our revenues and some private investment I think they were getting at the time, we are going to make everyone whole. And that is what we're going to do for our customers. And so when the trading on these BFX tokens opened, I tried to find a chart of it. but that data is quite old. I can't find it, but they open at about 33 cents to the dollar. In other words, if you didn't believe that they were going to pay you back, you could sell your Bitfinex tokens for 33 cents on the dollar and get whatever money then. You get 33% of what you lost then. But people could also buy the tokens. And I remember when the tokens got to 50 cents on the dollar, because they were releasing news over time as it went along. Yeah. So what did they receive? You were credited BFX tokens equal to the amount of loss on your account, converted to the US dollar equivalent. What can I do with them? You can trade them, or you can wait until they got to their one. And what would happen is, as they got closer and closer, they would start saying, okay, we've recovered this much money. We put this into the recovery fund. And over time, it went along. Forgot one thing. BFX tokens, if you wanted to keep them, you could also hold on to them for equity in the company. They were going to issue shares of their parent company, iFinex, later. I remember when it got to 50 cents, I was thinking to myself, I'm going to try to chart this. There was a chart on, I think TradingView was around at that time. And I was waiting for like an Ichimoku setup to go long these tokens. But really, looking back, it's one of these obvious trades that you didn't take. The proposition was Bitfinex will stay in business or Bitfinex will go out of business. And so that was sort of what the trade was at the time. And so the obvious thing to do was buy these things at 50 cents on the dollar. And they said something to the effect of, did they say in here how many months they're going to take? I think it was something like 9 months. They thought they were going to pay somebody back. They did it in a very short amount of time, like 2 or 3. And of course, the tokens went to a full value of 1. And so that was an interesting trade. But absent any government regulation, absent any insurance, internally through transparency, they were able to make their customers whole. And I think one of the meta reasons that you don't hear about that event is because it kind of breaks the narrative that there needs to be regulation in cryptocurrency. There doesn't. Yes, there's going to be bad actors like these people that, make really horrible music videos and steal people's cryptocurrency. I personally see that as a price that we pay to have a uncensorable monetary system outside of government and corporate control. But I'm a libertarian and we don't win elections. So that was my story about the Bitfinex hack and where we stand today. It's sort of the culmination of it, the conclusion, if you will. All right. Any last questions? I'm going to start wrapping up here on this fine Friday. It's sunny outside in Atlanta. Okay, Google, what's the temperature? 66 degrees in February. Take that, New Englanders. All right. How can you break crypto axis? What? Who is this Maria person? Anyway. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining me. I'll be doing a video this weekend with the levels. We'll talk about the market coming up and make sure that you do the algorithmic stuff. More importantly, if you're watching right now and you want someplace to hang out during the day, come join us on Discord. I don't charge people, even though people think I should. And we just want to talk about trading all day and watch me and Manaconda, who is the better trader, to trade. You got anything to add, Ant? Okay, I think he's occupied. Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.